Hey everybody, welcome back. Mike from Spectre Comics. In this week's drawing tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to draw Mario from Super Mario Brothers. The image on the screen will be the reference image for this drawing. And let's talk about what we need to do the drawing. First, we've got our pad of paper, we've got a thin pencil, a thin eraser, a thick eraser, and a brush to dust away the lint from the eraser. We will be erasing a lot. So those are our tools. If you want to check out any of my tools, they are linked in the description below. So let's get started with the drawing. So I'm going to place an image of Mario in the upper left-hand corner for reference while we're drawing. So let's grab our pencil, and in the upper half of the page, we're going to start just sketching out the major components of Mario. We're going to start with his head, and we're going to just draw a circle. Now I went off the top of the page a little bit because we're going to have his hands outstretched upward, and I need some room to show the hand. So we're going to just draw a basic circle as his head, and again we're just identifying the location of his head. And because he's doing a jumping pose, we're going to draw the gesture of his pose. We're going to draw a curved line through his head and down towards the bottom. This is going to represent his body and his foot that is extended. Next thing we're going to do is draw a larger circle, kind of indicating the torso, his body, and we're going to connect it like a snowman to the first circle, which is his head. We're going to take a line and draw it upwards, indicating his arm that's raised in a fist up in the air. And we're going to just draw his leg with a double line and his shoe, indicating the location of his straight leg. Now the other leg is kind of bent up in a bent knee position, so we're going to curve a line upwards and down to indicate that, and then just draw an oval indicating his foot that is raised in the air. Then we're going to just draw his shoulder on his right shoulder and his fist, which is balled up at chest level. We've got the basic gesture drawn, showing him in a jumping position. And now we're going to start to add some of the detail to the drawing. So we're going to start with his face. In the middle of his face, I'm going to draw a line straight down, indicating the symmetrical face, and a big circle, or more of an oval, in the center of his face, indicating his big nose. Now on either side of the center line of the face, we're going to draw his eyes. The eyes are on either side of the nose and kind of fade behind it, so you're not going to see the full eye. So we're going to just draw two vertical ovals indicating his eyes. Now I'm going to indicate his mouth, so under the nose. I'm just going to draw a slightly curved line indicating the top lip, and then bring a swooping line down and connect it back to indicate his open mouth. Now, all these lines right now are very sketchy, very loose, and we're going to just indicate everything, but again, we have erasers so that we can clean up as we go. So now we're going to draw his mustache. We're going to take two curved lines up on either side of his nose, and his mustache has a bunch of curves connecting to either side of the extended top of his mustache. Now this is going to be a complete refining of the drawing. As we're cleaning this up, we're going to just keep adding detail in and cleaning up the lines. Now we're going to add his eyeballs. We're going to add his eyebrows curved over each eye. So his cheeks kind of bulge out on either side and then come to a point under his mouth. I'm just going to start adding some detail to his clothes. So here, his plumber's pants, his overalls. We're going to just start adding the straps for the overalls, connecting them, drawing the little buttons on his overalls, just two small circles. And then we're going to add his right arm, which is below and bent down. And I'm constantly just refining all aspects of his body, just as I add the detail in. In the middle of his stomach, there's a line from his overalls. This is just extra detail. And you want his body to be kind of like fat. So Mario's very short and round. His body's round, all his features are round, and his body's kind of just this, basically a big circle. I'm going to start cleaning up things as I go. I'm using a very soft lead, HB lead. It does tend to smear. I'm actually using watercolor paper because I'm going to paint this later. I'll show you the finished painting after we're done with the drawing here at the end of the video, so stay around for that. I'm going to go up and start drawing his hat. So just draw kind of a curved line arced across the top above his eyebrows. The hat's a very weird shape, so it's kind of hard to draw, but this is a trial and error. Just keep drawing curved lines around the top of his head. It obviously peaks at the top. There's a point at the front of it, and then it kind of returns around the back of his head. I'm just kind of indicating it now. We'll go clean that up a little later. darkening the lines that are starting to become a little more final, so his nose. And if things don't look just right, and you'll notice I'm constantly erasing and redrawing lines because I look at something, it doesn't look quite right. So it's trial and error. So keep adjusting the line work as needed. Now the first sketchy lines we're doing are very light, so because you're going to be erasing them. And as you start to finalize the lines, that's when they start getting darker. The hard part of this is Mario's head is kind of on a slant, so it's hard to kind of draw. So feel free to, turn the paper a little bit and adjust it so you can look at it straight on. I'm going to add a little more detail here to the eyes. I feel like the eyes weren't as big as they needed to be, so here I'm just making them a little larger, and we're darkening up these lines as well. So I'm starting to add his irises into the eyes and his pupils. Again, these lines are becoming a little more final, so they're a little darker than our initial sketch. Now I'm going to start finalizing the mustache. I do turn the paper a lot as I'm drawing because I like to draw towards myself. I like to rest my hand on the paper and use that to steady my hand while I'm drawing. I use the brush when I'm getting rid of the erasers because if I use my hand, sometimes you smear the pencil. Again, I'm using a softer lead and that tends to smear, especially on watercolor paper. If something doesn't look right, erase it and redraw it. Doesn't have to be perfect on the first try. Getting Mario's face shape right is a little difficult, especially on this angle, because it looks not exactly symmetrical. So I did work this a bunch of times to get it right. But again, his cheeks are kind of rounded, and it comes down to a point where the chin is. His mouth is open in this drawing, so obviously extends the chin down a little lower. When you get his mouth drawn, just draw a little curved line for his upper teeth, and a little curved line at the bottom for his tongue. Now we're going to work on his eyebrows, trying to finalize those. They curve up and over the eyes, following the same shape as the top of the upper eye. They come to points on both ends and they're thicker in the middle. So just follow the contour of the eye, and the location and size of the eyebrows is part of Mario's expression, so it's important to get that right. Do it on both sides. They're basically like little half moons. I'm going to bring a line across between the eyebrows where the hat meets the head, and we're going to take that on either side of the eyebrows to the side of the face. Just add a little curved line under his mouth for the bottom lip. So now we're going to draw the hair on the side of his head, little sideburns. And it goes a little past his ear. It's just a little curved line on the side of his temple there. And we're going to draw a curved line for his ear. Basically starts right at the bend of the cheek and just curves down towards his cheek. And just add a little detail in his ear for the folds in the ear. We're going to draw the brim of his hat, so take that curved line and we're just going to add a little more finality to it. Thicken the lines up, get that curve. And again, the hat's actually really hard to draw. It's hard to draw symmetrically. It's got a weird shape to it, and it took me a couple of tries to get it right, and I still don't think it looked perfect when I was done. You'll see that in a little bit. Continue the hair on the other side of his face. Because his arm is outstretched up, it kind of covers his left cheek there, and that's going to get erased in a little bit. So you're not really going to see the ear on this side of his head. But the face is pretty much done. I'm going to adjust things a little bit as we go, but pretty much all the detail is in there. It's actually hard to make the brim look like it's projecting out. It just looks like it's curved on top of his head. So I did erase and redraw this hat a handful of times during the recording of this. But the brim's going to be a double line, so once you get the exact shape you want, draw a second line around it to show the thickness of the brim, and continually adjust as needed. Erase, redraw, it is a process. This drawing took about an hour to do. It's a little more complicated than some of the other tutorials I've been doing, but again, when you watch a video like this, I don't want you to think that this was a quick, easy draw. It takes a little bit of time to get everything right. It takes time to, you take your time with it and you follow the steps and you can get it. I'll even go back and erase like I'm doing now, final lines, and redraw them if they don't look right. So I didn't do what I wanted to do on the first try with the shape of the hat. So I'm going to start with the circle and the M on his hat. It should be a little easier to draw, and then we can draw the shape of the hat around that. It's funny, if you're a little older and you've been drawing a long time like I have, you kind of go back in time and you can look at drawings you did when you were much younger, and there was times where I would draw stuff and I would think it looked really good. You know, especially at the time, I thought I did a really good job. And then you go back and you look now at those drawings and you're like, wow, that wasn't very good at all. It needs a lot of work. But then the nice thing is to go look back on that and see how far you've progressed when you get older. So I can definitely say that I've improved, but there's even stuff I drew even a couple of years ago, which I look back at now and I thought it was really good at the time. And it turns out it was like, wow. And on top of that, people, like, I'm my own worst critic when it comes to my art. You know, other people who can't draw at all, they look at it and they think it's really good. And I'm like, and at the time I was like, yeah, this is really good. I would say that to myself. Now, you know, I can go back and look at work I did a couple years ago and just say, wow, I thought that was really good at the time, but I could do so much better now. And that's, you know, drawing's a process of improving your technique and getting better. So art is a constant, you know, learning and improving your technique. So I think I can draw some things really well now, some things I still struggle with, but it's always fun to do, and keep at it and you'll get better. I mean, I look at that at myself. I learn stuff every day. You should do that as well. Keep drawing every day. You will just pick up things by drawing all the time, and you can also pick up things by watching other people draw. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Give a like to the video if you are finding it helpful. I'm going to be making a ton of these videos. So we're going to work here now on his body. And so I kind of drew his arm, double lined for his arm up. And I wanted to make his body a little fatter because he's got kind of a round, short torso. So we're going to work on his body and his overalls and his leg going down. And sometimes I will turn the paper completely again. If I need to draw in a way where I need to have more control, I'll shift the paper so that I can draw the way I want to now. So his overalls, he's got his red shirt, and we're going to take his arm up because his left hand is up in the air, kind of in a fist. And now I'm starting to erase his cheek because I know that that left arm is going to cover the cheek a little bit. The cheek is going to be behind the arm, so it's going to cover it a bit. This curved line represents his glove, or the start of his glove, where his glove hand goes into the glove. So here we're drawing his foot. Again, the foot is a basic oval, but because we're looking up at, you're going to actually see the sole because his foot is raised and you can see the bottom of his shoe. So we're kind of drawing the little heel here. You curve the line around and then you draw the heel. Heel acts like a little step. So you draw two lines and then, the sole of his foot, now the heel kind of comes around off of that step. But the shoe is basically a bean shape. So it's kind of just a fat bean. Clean up the sketchy lines when you can. Once you start to, once this whole drawing starts to take shape, all of the guidelines that you started with, all of the sketchy lines, start cleaning those up, erase them so that you can see better what you're drawing and you can finish the lines a little stronger. Now start working on that right hand. And the hand is balled up in a fist as well. So once you draw the edge of the glove where the arm connects to the hand, follow the contours of the image. And you're going to draw 4 fingers and a thumb, and everything's kind of curved around. So the hand is kind of round, and then you just divide it into the fingers. So kind of watch what I'm doing here. Fingers kind of curl in, so you just draw them up and around. My hand's in the way, so you can't see, but you'll see in a minute once my hand goes away. You can start real sketchy with the hand because the hands are hard to draw, so it's constant refinement to get it just right. Now the thumb kind of bends in and then curves down towards the wrist area. So that's just a sketchy version of the hand. We're going to clean that up in a little bit. Now after looking at the drawing a little bit, I kind of realized that his left leg should have been a little longer than it was. It was not coming down far enough. So I erased his foot and extended the leg. So Mario's in a jumping pose. So he's basically extending his left leg down and looking like he's pushing off the ground with his left foot. So that's why it's in a downward position. So this extended leg looks a little better than the previous one. The left foot needs to be much lower than the right foot, which is raised in the air. We'll continue to clean up the lines and erase anything that is still sketchy and finalize the lines with much darker, bolder lines. Okay, so now the hard part, the hands. This is also a part of the body that I had to constantly erase and redraw because my fingers didn't look just right. So again, the hands are a refinement because there's so many bends and different shapes depending on which way the hand is. it's always difficult to draw hands. So I'm just extending the lines of the fingers along the knuckles. The knuckle is the back of the hand there, and then we're bending them down into a fist. It's important to make the fingers look like they have 3 segments, and the thumb comes at the hand at a different direction. So as it bends down across the fingers, it's coming towards the camera. The left fist is similar, but it's kind of angled a little more towards the camera. So you got a different angle on it, but it's following the same principle. Okay, so we're starting from scratch on this hand. It just didn't look right at all. So the hand was more upright and the fingers came down a little straighter than the way I sketched it out originally, but it's going to go up and around, and then I'm going to curve the knuckles back. Fingers come straight down and then curl under. So this is a little better. Okay, so after a little refinement and cleaning up the lines, here's the final drawing of Mario from Super Mario Brothers. Hope you found it helpful. Now, if you want to see the color version of this, I did a Posca Markers short, which will be pinned in the comment section below on how I painted it. This is the final image of that, but if you want to see how I did it, go ahead and check that short out. It's 22 seconds long. Shouldn't take you long to watch. If you came in through that video, because I linked this how to draw video in that video, I appreciate you coming. If you have other suggestions of characters you want to learn how to draw, put that in the comments. I will try to show a tutorial on how to draw the character you want to learn how to draw. I do take suggestions. So appreciate you watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. If you have any questions on the process, put that in the comment section. I will try to answer all questions. Like the video, subscribe to my channel for more how to draw tutorials and other art videos that I've got a library of over 400 videos. Go ahead and check those out. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.